Thank you to our sponsor, Oracle Utilities. Oracle helps utilities worldwide prepare for a sustainable, affordable energy and water future. Their mission-critical solutions help improve customer service, network operations, asset management, field services, and energy efficiency so that you can deliver the essential services you provide to your communities every day.
Hi, Julia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
We're in the same place.
It's so weird, but we're at least 6 feet apart.
We are.
84 inches, in fact.
It's nice that none of this conversation is happening through Microsoft Teams.
Indeed. I think today we're going to be talking about net zero by 2050, but before we do that, I think we should acknowledge these awesome new mugs that we have. It is our 130th anniversary this year. We thought it would be neat to announce it during this video.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We must be just about the oldest trade association in Canada at that point. 1891. There wasn't even a railway back then, I don't think.
As far as we can tell, we may be the oldest association in Canada, but these things aren't documented.
Mm-hmm. But mugs are. So net zero. What do you want to know?
I think what we should do is talk about what net zero by 2050 means.
Yeah, it's funny because it's all the buzz, but no one ever stops to talk about what it actually means. So it's pretty straightforward. The idea is that by 2050, the year, that Canada or whoever would not put any more carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere than they're taking away. So, not quite the same as not emitting anything, but acknowledging that, we'll have to burn fossil fuels here and there, but we're absorbing the equivalent of that CO2 or whatever elsewhere.
So net zero by 2050 is one of our solutions on with the problem of climate change.
Yeah, so if the problem of climate change is all the greenhouse gases going into the atmosphere, the first step is really stop putting any more in. And so that is the goal. And then eventually, depending on where you look, part of that would probably mean, even in reducing where that is. Right now, Canada emits, a little more than 700 megatons of carbon dioxide each year. Getting down to zero from there, even as the population grows and the economy grows, is going to be a challenge. For us and our sector, what that means is how can we use electricity to address some of these challenges? In Canada, 82% of the electricity we have is already generated by non-emitting sources, mostly hydro, but also nuclear and wind and solar. We have reduced our emissions by more than 40% since 2005. That's a good start. But the government has figured that in their climate plan that they announced in December of last year, that to get to net zero, we're going to need 2 to 3 times the amount of electricity that we have today.
So it sounds like we need to start talking about electrification.
That is what it is. And so I guess it's a chicken and egg problem. How do you make all this electricity and where is it going to go? Some of the stuff with electrification is going to really rely on things that we've already would recognize in our daily lives. So more EVs, shifting from different kinds of heating to electric heat, whether it be air source heat pumps or whatever. Buses, transit, you name it. Other stuff we'll have to figure out as we move forward. The really interesting thing, though, will be the kinds of technologies that are just emerging so that we're able to create energy in different ways. Hydrogen is a good example of that. I think as we move towards 2050, we'll see more things powered by hydrogen that is made with non-emitting sources, including electricity.
It's great to see that the government also introduced a hydrogen strategy back in December of 2020.
Yeah, they had a real flurry of announcements at the end of the year. It's almost like something else was going on through the rest of the year. But I think the big thing with a lot of these announcements is that they're the first step down a longer path. Things like hydrogen, we could talk about small modular reactors, so smaller nuclear reactors. We could talk about carbon capture and utilization. All of these are new technologies. And for us to hit these farther out goals, we're going to need to make sure that they develop into a way that is commercially viable and sustainable and economical. And announcements for strategies and plans are good, but it's how do we take them from where they are now and seize the opportunity and turn them into something that people can actually use.
We have 40 members from coast to coast to coast that represent the entire value chain of electricity, as you know, from generation all the way to the customer. What is the one thing we should really be advocating for right now from the government?
Well, we talked about some future opportunities. I think one of the things that we really need to focus on now is how we can best use the technology that's already here. How do we take advantage of the electricity we already produce and the opportunities to move things forward? And I think what we really need to start with that is a national electrification plan. In 2018, the federal government and the provinces committed to a framework for a clean electric future. And unfortunately, that ideal went mostly the way that most federal provincial things go. I think, and we've seen bits of it evolve since then. So we've heard talk of the Atlantic Loop, which would connect clean power within the Maritime and Atlantic provinces, some connections between the Prairie provinces and so on. But how do we fit all these pieces together so that we know where we're supposed to go, where the needs are, and how we can get there in a way that is most efficient, both in terms of reliability, so we know the power is always there when you need it, but also in a way that reflects best value for the customer. Because at the end of the day, someone has to pay a bill.
All right, so it sounds like our first step is the development of an electrification strategy as we move towards net zero by 2050. What are the hazards or risks that we need to be paying attention to as we move in this direction?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we really have to focus on is getting stuff built. And it's hard to build things in Canada. It's hard to build things anywhere. But if we're going to double or triple the amount of electricity that's produced, whether it's with new generation or transmission, or figuring out how we're able to make investments in the local distribution system, those are all things that are hard problems that we need to address and really stay laser focused on advancing these things. I think the second thing is, and it's a weird risk to say, but there's an opportunity in all of this. The opportunity is that it's easy to think of this transition as a hardship, but I think it's the better way of thinking about the energy transition is an opportunity. That the way all of us live our lives and the way our economy is structured is going to shift over the course of the next 30 years. If you think back to 1990 versus today, the way we use technology and the kind of things we did are dramatically different. That's the same sort of thing that we're looking forward 30 years for. And so how can we make sure that as we build out a system that is clean and affordable and reliable, that we're doing so in a way that makes sure that we're building the kind of jobs that will make the system work now and into the future, and making sure that we remain the sort of prosperous country that we want to be.
And of course, we can't forget about the Canadian customer.
We can't. That's the first thing that comes from it all. In our sector, we have 80,000 jobs or 88,000 jobs, but the multiplier on those jobs is literally everyone else in the economy. And you can't do much in this country without electricity. And so making sure that we provide a commodity that is there and affordable will mean that Canadians are safe and secure into the future.
And I think that sets us up really nicely for our next discussion on the customer, which we're going to hear about shortly.
Awesome.
And so, Mike, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Good to see you in person.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Michael and Julia. 2021 will certainly be an important year as we continue to carve out electricity's role in a net zero future.
Electricity is transforming every aspect of Canadians' lives. CEA members are Canada's largest electricity providers. The CEA Corporate Partner Program is your opportunity to connect to our members through in-person and virtual events in our many marketing channels. You'll gain access to decision makers across the entire electricity value chain, from generation through to the end customer. Contact us about becoming a CEA Corporate Partner. Together, our future is very bright.